Hey guys, it's Miss Clark. I'm coming at you with lesson number 4 of the week of September 28th through October 2nd. And this is day 2 of our hurricanes book. As you can see, the one that we read yesterday. And it says, our I can statement is I can answer questions about a nonfiction text using key details from the text. And I can describe the effects of a hurricane on people. Okay? So what you're going to do next is you're going to get out your KWL chart, your know, want to know, and learn chart from yesterday. So you're going to add it to the want to know before we start, and then you're going to modify the know. Like, what do you already know? You can move that from the learned side yesterday. So this is what you already knew before, and this is what you're going to learn today. So at the end of this lesson, you're going to write 3 more facts about what you've learned about hurricanes. Okay? So before we continue, we're going to look at our vocabulary for the day. All right? We have the word storm surge, we have the word damage, and we have the word aftermath. Okay? So as we read the book, I'm going to read pages 12 through 23, and we're going to talk about the vocabulary while we're reading. And you're going to put these words in your remote notebook with the meaning of the word and a quick sketch of what a storm surge looks like, damage would look like after a hurricane, and then aftermath. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video so you can write these down. Okay? All right, so let's keep going. Now, some of our questions before we start. What is a storm surge and why does it cause problems? Where do the tornadoes usually form? And why are hurricanes considered the world's worst storms? Okay, so let's see if we can answer some of those questions as we read. So I'm going to make this a little larger. Okay, see if I can move it. Oh, that's fun. It will not let me, maybe it'll let me extend the screen. Nope. I guess that's as big as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. So, here we go. So, a storm surge is a huge dome of water, 50 to 100 miles wide, that sweeps across the coastline where a hurricane makes land. A storm tide is a combination of a storm surge and a regular monthly high tide. So, when they come together, water heights are at their greatest. In September 1900, a deadly hurricane swept over the port town of Galveston, Texas. It caused the worst storm tide in United States history. And that happened 120 years ago. That's incredible. The streets were flooded to depths of 15 feet and higher. So imagine water being 15 feet high. That's about as high as our classroom ceiling. So that's how high the water is. Okay. And winds gusted to more than 100 miles per hour, ripping off roofs and uprooting trees. Huge chunks of buildings flew through the air. So there's the corresponding picture. That's an actual photograph from 1900. That is amazing. Before the hurricane struck, Galveston had been a beautiful city of large homes and broad streets, so like wide streets. After the storm, it was a scene of utter destruction. The storm killed at least 12,000 people and swept thousands of homes into the sea. Ships were left stranded and wrecked miles from their moorings. Even the shoreline had changed. It was now 300 feet inland from where it had been before the storm. So that's 100 yards is a football field. So 100 feet times 3. Now, since then, Galveston has built a sea wall that has protected the city from the force of storm tides. Okay, so that's what it looked like in the aftermath of the storm. Okay, so hurricanes are the world's worst storms. That may seem strange because tornadoes have stronger winds that can reach more than 300 miles per hour. Hurricane winds rarely blow at even half that speed. But a tornado is usually less than a mile wide on the ground, and even a small hurricane is hundreds of miles wide. Tornadoes usually last less than an hour, while hurricanes last days or even weeks. Every second, a large hurricane releases the energy of 10 atomic bombs, like those used in World War II. A hurricane can cause more damage than any other single weather event. Hurricanes have numbers as well as names. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale is based on the strength of the hurricane's spinning winds. The weakest hurricanes are rated 1, and the strongest hurricanes are rated 5. Hurricanes with a rating of 3 or higher are major hurricanes. There are only about 3 major hurricanes a year, but even hurricanes with a rating of 1 or 2 are very dangerous. Okay, so here's the picture. Okay, so it looks like a Dunkin' Donuts is just destroyed. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, Category 1, wind speeds of 74 to 95 miles per hour. So slight damage to trees, shrubbery, and mobile homes. Irene in 1999 was a Category 1 when it hit southeast Florida. Category 2, winds of 96 to 110 miles per hour. Moderate damage, some trees and mobile homes blown over. Homes damaged. Coastal roads may flood 2 to 4 hours before the eye arrives. Floyd in 1999 was a Category 2 when it hit the North Carolina coast. Okay, so far you can see the pictures. That's a Category 1, and that is a Category 2, and that's a Category 3 right there. See all that destruction? Category 3, winds of 111 to 130 miles per hour. Extensive damage. Large trees blown down and mobile homes badly damaged. Small buildings damaged. Fran in 1996 was a Category 3 and caused $3.2 billion of damage when it hit Cape Fear in North Carolina. It caused flooding rains up to Michigan. So Category 4, winds of 131 to 155 miles per hour. Extreme damage. Complete destruction of mobile homes and damage to other buildings. Hurricane Andrew raged across the Bahamas and southern Florida in August 1992 with winds of more than 140 miles per hour. It caused $26 billion in damages, the most property damage of any hurricane in history, behind Katrina in 2005. Andrew was originally classified as a Category 4 hurricane, but was reanalyzed in 2004 and upgraded to a Category 5. Okay, so I'm going to show you what a Category 5 is. That's the strongest hurricane. Winds greater than 155 miles per hour, a catastrophe. Complete destruction of mobile homes, complete failure of some buildings, and total destruction of roofs on many residences and industrial buildings. So a lot of brick homes and stuff. Major flooding. Camille in 1969 was a Category 5 with winds as high as 200 miles per hour. About 250 people died because of high winds and flooding in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Virginia. So, that's a Category 4. And this is a Category 5. There's a boat in their yard, you guys. Look at this. The boat came from the ocean to their yard. That is crazy. That is a Category 5, you guys. All right, the strength of a hurricane depends upon how fast the winds spin around the eye of the storm. Hurricanes spin somewhat like ice skaters. When skaters spin with outstretched arms, the spin is slow and skaters may be wobbly and unsteady. But when skaters tuck their arms in tightly, they spin faster and faster and are sharply upright. So they're up like this. The tighter a hurricane is packed together, the faster the winds are. I didn't know that. Hurricane-force winds rip pieces off roofs, tear the siding off houses, and carry off toys, building materials, and other items left outside. These become missiles during a hurricane, dangerous to people as well as property. So a missile is like something that's flying through the air that could hit you and kill you. Category 4, Hurricane Hugo in 1989 battered Charlotte, North Carolina, about 175 miles inland with 100 miles per hour winds that knocked down trees and power lines. Power lines are dangerous when they're down. Hurricanes also produce tornadoes. Tornadoes most often start in the bands of thunderstorms well away from the eye of the hurricane. But sometimes tornadoes are produced near the eye wall. Tornadoes produced by hurricanes are usually weaker than regular tornadoes and last only a few minutes. Some hurricanes set off dozens of small tornadoes. Okay, so here's a picture of some of the destruction of a hurricane. All right. Now, oh wow, that's a cool picture. It's a photograph of people in the water when there's flooding. Wow, that is amazing. Hurricanes are deadly, not just because of their winds, but also because they produce such heavy rains. The rains cause flooding along the coastline and even well inland, hundreds of miles from the coast. So torrential rains, so torrential means like heavy rains, also trigger landslides and mudslides, particularly in hilly or mountainous areas. So if there's a lot of mountains, watch out. Flash floods happen without warning in low-lying areas. Flooding along the banks of rivers and streams can last several days after the storm. It's just like the flooding in this picture. So the amount of rainfall during a hurricane is not related to the force of the spinning winds, but rather to the speed of the storm. Slow-moving hurricanes produce more rainfall and can cause more damage from flooding than faster-moving, more powerful storms. Hurricane Floyd, which struck in September 1999, was a slow-moving hurricane that produced tremendous rainfall in the eastern United States. Many states became disaster areas. More than 50 people died from inland flooding caused by the rains, including 35 in North Carolina. So if they died from flooding, that usually means that they drowned, which is a pretty depressing fact. The most costly hurricane in the United States was Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Katrina became a tropical storm over the Bahamas on August 23, 2005. It rapidly became stronger and crossed southern Florida as a Category 1 hurricane, so it's weaker, but it still can do damage. Moving over the Gulf of Mexico, it became a Category 5, so it jumped from 1 to 5, which is the strongest. On the morning of August 29, Katrina made its second landfall, this time in Louisiana. The storm surge caused catastrophic damage, so that means a whole lot of damage, along the coastlines of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Levees, or raised areas, a levee is a type of raised area, separating New Orleans from Lake Pontchartrain, were broken down by the pounding waters stirred up by the hurricane, finally flooding about 80% of the city and destroying more than 100,000 homes. That's more homes than we probably have in the Grace Chapel area. Wind damage spread over a wide area inland as well. Katrina was responsible for as much as $100 billion in damage and the deaths of more than 1,000 people. More than 1 million people had to leave their homes in the aftermath of the hurricane. In 2005, there were 27 named tropical storms and 14 hurricanes, the most storms and hurricanes ever in a single season or single year. This is the destruction that Katrina left behind. That is awful. This dark stuff, that's water, you guys. That is nasty. All right, so we'll stop there for the story. Now, let's look at some of our questions. Okay, so where do the tornadoes usually form during hurricanes? Okay. Now, what determines the strength of the hurricane? Okay, that was on page 19. What type of damage can hurricanes cause? Okay, we've seen it all through the chapter. What determines the amount of rainfall produced by a hurricane? Okay. And then, why are hurricanes considered the world's worst storms? And then, how are the categories of hurricanes different from one another? Okay, so after discussing the questions with someone in your home or next to you at school, I want you to get out this chart that you had before, and I want you to add 3 more facts on the L side, the learn side, to your chart. Okay, so go ahead and add 3 more facts. You can pause the video whenever you need to. And then I have an exit ticket question just in case you have extra time and would like to answer this question in your notebook. What fact has surprised you so far in our readings on hurricanes? Okay, so what is the most surprising fact that you have learned? Well, I hope you enjoyed our lesson, and I hope to see you again in my next video.